And this report is specific to a fairly new community dashboard metric that we're using that looks at exits and entries into long-term homelessness. As you know, this is a high priority in our community. It also is in alignment with city plan, many of our city initiatives, as well as the outcome area of neighborhood livability and social health, and also is in alignment with the Homer 2020 plan to make homelessness rare, short-lived, and non-recurring. This is the dashboard metric. So just taking a minute to figure out what it's saying. Long-term homelessness is defined in the Housing First Initiative as 6 months or longer of being homeless in Fort Collins. When you look at this metric, it is, as you can see, a quarterly metric. It is provided on a 1 quarter in arrears. The blue line, the total, is the total number of active people in long-term homelessness, with the light blue indicating the number of entries into long-term homelessness during that quarter. The green bar is the number of exits in that quarter. Our goal is really just to have more exits than entries per quarter, so that over a long term, we see that blue bar go down. As I mentioned, this data does come from the Housing First Initiative data, which has a much more larger set of data, but for the community dashboard, it's just this high-level look. This is a screenshot of the Housing First Initiative dashboard. If you go to the homer2020.org website, you can go there and play around with it. There's a lot of data there that you can look into. And one of the biggest kind of takeaways from this screenshot is in the 2-year pilot period that we've had the Housing First Initiative, we've had 140 people escape or exit long-term homelessness here in our community. This is the population data dashboard that's also on that website, and it gets into more of the demographics and the contributing factors that lead to homelessness here in our community. And these are actual people in our community who are part of the Housing First Initiative, who are part of that 140 people who have exited homelessness during this 2-year period, and each and every one of them has given their permission to have their photos in our presentation tonight. But we just wanted to reiterate that these are people. They each have unique experiences that led to their homelessness, and they each have unique set of needs to go into stable housing. So a lot of the work in the Housing First Initiative is case management and making sure we're first of all realizing what the gaps are and what the needs are in our community, and then making sure we're matching them up with the most appropriate housing for the long-term stability of the people that we're serving. Shifting gears a little bit, as you know, the city's involved in a variety of ways of supporting homelessness initiatives and the system that addresses homelessness in our community. But in addition, we have funding that goes directly to some of these initiatives. In our budgeting for outcomes process, we have the Homelessness Initiatives package that funds either partially or fully these items that are listed. For example, we're one of many funding partners that funds the Outreach Fort Collins team. And then we also fully funded the expansion of hours at the Murphy Center during the winter months last year that was very successful. And we will be doing that again this winter as well. Also, we have our competitive process that has both city and federal funding. And then just looking at the 2019 funding that you approved earlier this year, 32% of that funding goes specifically to housing opportunity and stability. And you can see from the other category areas, there are also things that do support homelessness prevention and other ways of addressing homelessness. And then looking at the affordable housing funds through that same process, the 4 projects that were partially funded through that includes about 131 housing units, and of those, 75 are specifically providing units for people experiencing homelessness to come out of homelessness. And I'll just highlight Mason Place. That's a housing catalyst project. The next permanent supportive housing project that's modeled after the very successful Red Tail Ponds, which will provide 60 units of permanent supportive housing for chronically homeless people. And they should be starting construction on that project this month. And then just moving forward, we have a work session coming up in February to provide an update, and also for Homer 2020 to kind of lay out their plan for their final phase. And then, of course, we continue with our partnerships and collaborative work in this space.